You're watching Night TV International live from Cairo. You're watching The Breakfast Show. And the Minister of Tourism and Antiquities, Khalid Al-Anaini, and top officials from the ministry have recently inaugurated two archaeological sites in Sohag after their development. And it's our pleasure to have with us on Night TV International over the phone Mr. Ehab Kamel, archaeologist. Good morning, Mr. Ehab.
Good morning.
Mr. Ehab would like to know what are the most important ancient Egyptian monuments in the governorate of Sohag?
Well, unfortunately, not many people know how important the province of Sohag is in the field of archaeology. It's enough to tell you that Sohag has a very ancient history that dates back to the prehistorical period, to the archaic period, as this was where King Menes, the founder of the first dynasty, was born. Also, this province was very important for the Egyptians because that is the place where they went for pilgrimage, because of the holy site of Abydos. Abydos, according to the ancient Egyptian mythology, that is the place where the head of the god Osiris was buried. So that is why Abydos became very important to the ancient Egyptians, and it became the place of pilgrimage. It's worth also to mention that this area has got lots of ancient monuments that dates back to the archaic period, first and second dynasties like al-Ga'ab in Abydos. Also the famous temple of Abydos that was built by King Ramses II and extended by King Seti I and extended by King Ramses II. And not what many people know, that Ramses II had built another temple in Abydos, which is a unique temple because it's the only temple that has got a picture for the god Anubis in the shape of a human being, not a human being with a jackal head. Lately, there have been lots of discoveries. More than 20 years ago, they discovered a gigantic statue for the daughter of King Ramses II, Princess Marit Amun, which is located near Akhmim. Lately, they discovered a unique tomb which had been dismantled and relocated in a place called Diabat in Sohag. Sohag, it's a very rich province with archaeology, and I believe that there's still a lot to be revealed, and there is a problem over there that needs to be solved about the cemetery near Akhmim, because there are lots of things under this modern cemetery, and part of a gigantic statue of Ramses II is still buried, and we can see part of it. It appears to everybody. Sohag, it's one of the provinces that is very rich, like Menia, but it did not have its fair share of fame.
It was not really didn't have its share of exposure, and I think it's our duty, mass media, and of course the Ministry of Tourism, to put Sohag and other governorates that are rich with monuments and history in the spotlight. I have a question for you, Mr. Ehab. The Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities actually developed two sites in Sohag. What were these two sites? Where they
go on.
You have
the site in Akhmim and you have the site in Hawawish. Hawawish, that is a very important site that had been neglected for a long time. I think the last archaeological expedition that worked over there, it was an Australian expedition that was led by Dr. Naguib Qanawati, and this was in 1974. The importance of Hawawish, that it's the only place in Egypt that has tombs that dates back to the first intermediate period, 7th, 8th, 9th dynasties, and they are still in a very good shape. And I believe that working and developing the Hawawish site, it will reveal lots of information that we did not know about the ancient Egyptian history. And I believe that there's a very big, there's a great deal of care is being given now to the archaeological sites in Middle Egypt, like Sohag, like Menia, because they have really unique sites, apart from the traditional areas where we can see ancient Egyptian monuments and ancient Egyptian tombs like Luxor, Aswan. I think Middle Egypt has got a lot to reveal, and I'm really delighted that the Department of Antiquities is giving a great deal of care at the moment to Middle Egypt like Sohag.
Mr. Ehab, we also know that there are some Islamic and Coptic monuments. So we'd like to know what are the most important Coptic archaeological sites or monuments there in Sohag. We start with the Coptic and then we go.
The famous monastery, which is called the Red Monastery, the monastery of Al-Amba Shnuda. It's one of the very important Coptic monuments because it dates back to a very early Coptic age. And actually, the art over there, it represents a very important link in the development of the Coptic period art and architecture. Lots of people not know much about it because, as I said, it's not famous. People only know about Bir al-Muharraq or Jabal al-Tir monastery. However, this monastery, it's a unique monastery because it's built on the traditional Coptic monasteries. And if you would know that Egypt, it's the country that introduced the monastic life to the whole world, and the first monk was Egyptian, St. Anthony, and they even exported it to the whole world. It's enough to tell you that St. Benedict of Ireland, he's the one who came to Egypt and was educated in their al-Muharraq and returned back and introduced the monastic life to Europe. Actually, these monasteries are considered to be a treasure because, as I said, they are built in the traditional way that consists of big wall and a tower and separate cells where those monks had lived as hermits. And most of it are built with mud brick. Also, it has got lots of fresco, Christian paintings. And by the way, we haven't got many fresco paintings left in Egypt. However, in these monasteries, especially in Amba Shnuda monastery and in the monasteries of the Red Sea, like the monastery of St. Anthony, they are really an added value to the ancient Egyptian heritage.
Mr. Ehab Kamel, thank you very much for being with us on 9TV International, and your phone call was an added value to 9TV International. Thank you very much for watching. That was The Breakfast Show with my dear colleague and friend Shireen Aidel and myself, Nisreen Baha. Thank you very much. Until we meet again, it's goodbye.